Dysfunctional families operate under a pretense of normalcy, which is everything's fine, no problems to see, everyone's happy, no one's hurting or in pain, no one's abusing alcohol or abusing each other. We're all good. So don't ask any questions, don't dig any deeper. Just move on, always moving on, always going forward, never stopping, never thinking about what people are really feeling and thinking. Because if they were really to stop and to think and to feel and to question and to probe, you'd realize there's a number of snakes under every rock. And so dysfunctional families thrive on secrecy. Um, and there's a great I don't know, aphorism, maxim, axiom that I heard going to an AA meeting as sober support for a client. But the saying was, "You're as sick as your secrets." Um, and so applying that, a family is sick as their secrets, and they thrive. The dysfunction thrives in secrecy. Um, the pain lives in the darkness, and so families feel a natural aversion to talking about these things, about what's really going on, their family patterns, and putting them in the light. They don't want to talk about it. If you ask any kind of questions, they get really uncomfortable. They shift the focus. They have all these tactics, all these maneuvers of redirecting the conversation and the focus to something that masks and covers what's really going on. Um, and so part of the challenge of working with families who are stuck in those dysfunctional patterns of trauma and pain and poor communication and abuse is naming the secret. And families get intensely uncomfortable. But when you can shepherd a family through naming the secret and uncovering the hidden pattern and exposing those things to the light, oh my gosh, it's powerful. It's almost like the floodgates are released or broken open, and there's just a pouring out of almost lament or mourning. Um, but there's a huge buildup and resistance, and then breaking through that's required. And sometimes that can take a really long time. Sometimes it can happen surprisingly fast and quick. Nothing's I haven't seen change happen faster in any other context than in family therapy. It can happen almost immediately um, if you know how to navigate through all the resistances and the hurts and the pains and all the ways that families try to maintain the status quo. Okay. Um, so I think what happens is when you can identify the pattern and you can expose it to the light and name it in a way that's inescapable, it has the ring of truth. It reduces the power of the family dysfunction. I'm trying to articulate that in a way that really captures it. Is identification and exposure reduces the power of the family dysfunction. Because I think, and I guess why that's so important to name or articulate is families are so scared and they don't know what change would look like, and so the starting point, like I said, is naming the secret, putting it out there, bringing it into the light. Um, and what it does is it just disrupts the apple cart. The status quo that families have established for so long, we've got to disrupt that. We've got to upend things. Um, and so I've even said, like, even just kind of playfully, casually calling out the thing that the family's afraid, and they'll just be like, "What? What are you talking about? What do you mean?" No. Um, you can just see that immediate repulsion to any discussion of the truth. Um, I'm very empathetic to it, so I don't mean to treat it casually or flippantly. Um, sometimes you just kind of got to plow through, and you can't be too delicate. Sometimes you want to be really delicate. It all is very dependent on the case that you're working with, and the rapport that you have, and the risk factors. So I want to add a degree of nuance in what I'm talking about here. Don't want to come off as flippant at all. At the same time, though, a good family therapist has to be ethically, compassionately subversive. We are being subversive to the dysfunctional status quo that families feel so beholden to, in the sense that they have no power over it, and in the sense that they are the ones who have all the power and are maintaining it. Um, so the other thing too is when you name it, there is an immediate and swift, um, like I said, attempt to redirect things. But if you persist, then there's also an attempt to reinforce or enforce the status quo. Like, no, 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 this is how we've always done things. And if we change that, then it would just mean the end of everything. So I think that's the thing too, is dysfunctional families can't conceptualize family, relationships, their group identity outside of the dysfunction. And I'm like, there's a whole world outside the family dysfunction of joy, connection, peace, happiness, harmony, love. There is a whole world outside of this dysfunction, and you can't see 2 steps out of it. You can't see 5 minutes beyond it. So that's where families need to maybe really rely on the therapist, as a source of comfort, reassurance, guidance. So it's okay. I've walked a number of families through this. I can walk you guys through this. It's going to be okay. It's going to feel really scary, really new. People tend to avoid what they're not familiar with, and get really anxious with uncertainty. So, okay, I get it. It's really anxiety provoking to do something that isn't dysfunctional, to connect with each other in a way outside this nasty pattern that you've got. Um, but you can do it. So I would say if you're in a family system, the really beautiful thing, and the family therapy model that I follow, very strongly endorses that individuals can change patterns. Now, ideally, it's a group effort, right? It took everybody to get into that nasty pattern, and it needs to take everybody to get out of it. However, one person can be a change agent, and you change the way you respond to others. You don't try to directly change them. You change yourself and your responses to others. It can also really help if you have a family therapist who really knows what they're doing and can work with you. But for the first 7 years of my career in counseling, I did in-home family therapy, in the juvenile justice system with adjudicated youth, working with some of the most horrendous situations. And it didn't matter how bad things were. I saw families be so courageous, so brave, so resilient, and work through the most difficult, challenging issues where there's trauma of all kinds, addiction, abuse, and yet there's still a true love and passion for each other, and a desire to fight and work through these things. So I don't care what kind of family situation you're in. There's always the opportunity for change and growth, and individuals can play an instrumental role in that. And if it's possible, and I certainly hope it is for you in your situation, it can also be a group effort too. So I think the main point is starting with some education, having some empathy for the anxiety that everyone's feeling, not pathologizing that desire to maintain the status quo, even if it's a terrible status quo. Um, and then also naming the secret, um, putting things out in the light. So you can do this. You got this. I'm here to help if you need it. Drop me a like, subscribe, all those social media type things. But just shoot me a question too. I'd love to give you some resources, and be of help and service in any way I can.